I want to talk about a single concrete project which we proposed 2 years ago here in Berlin. It's called TXLplus. TXL is the indication for the airport Tegel, as everybody knows. You'll find it on your boarding pass whenever you leave Tegel to the rest of the world. And the plus means exactly what you said before. The plus is a plus energy project for this old airport with a new function. This ink drawing was done 45 years ago by Meinhard von Gerkan, the founder of our office. It shows two hexagons to both sides of a ring, which of course was accessed by cars. This hexagon was built, this ring was never built at that time. Also, the subway was never built to make it to the airport, as everybody knows, so you have to access the airport by car, which is a pity in terms of, or in view of our energy situation. So we were asked, as we also planned the new airport of Berlin, what should we do with this old building? That was the question from the city administration here in Berlin. And our idea was to build an energy plus city and to convert the building, the terminal building, to a startup center for new companies, for innovative companies, which are dealing with the energy problems of our world. And just let me say, this is a conference where we deal with all these companies, but there is a problem in Germany that we have innovative companies everywhere, but we have no place where they can demonstrate their power, their innovations. And that was the idea, to have this building in the center of Berlin to gather all these powers in Germany, and then in the second step to build an energy plus city where people can live, where people can work, and where energy consumption is reduced to zero if you talk about oil and gas, and renewables are supporting all these city structures. The second step is that we have we want to create a carbon-free city district over there. And the third thing is, which is very important, that we want to create buildings which are completely recyclable, because that is the main problem of architects and engineers in the next decades, that if you have the number in mind that 60% of waste all over the world is produced by buildings, by demolishing interior decorations or whatever, technical installations, then also, of course, demolishing complete buildings, 60%. So we have to rethink our way of building houses in the future, and that's why we want to create recyclable buildings in this city. So this is a concept which is called 000 concept, a concept which is created by Werner Sobeck, who was supposed to be here after this speech. Unfortunately, he can't make it, but we developed this concept together with him. If you think about the size of the airfield of Tegel, you see that we have 466 hectares. And if you compare this to the Friedrichstadt with the 300 hectares, you see what kind of potential, just in terms of space, you have there. And this was the first sketch of Meinhard von Gerkan, more than 2 years ago, in 2008, where he proposed to have the incubator, to see the incubator in this terminal building, and then to have a geometrical relation to the airfield and to the runways with a band-like city structures for living and for working spaces. The next picture shows the actual status quo of the master plan, which we developed together with the city administration, the Department of Urban Development here in Berlin, it still shows, it still shows the airport and the terminal building in the center, together with a solar plant on this side, the second hexagon, which was always missing. And this second hexagon, this solar plant, together with windmills, this is supporting the building structures, most of all the terminal building, but all the other building structures, which of course have then solar panels on the roof, so that we have a complete energy, reduce the energy consumption by oil and gas in this city quarter. We regret that during the process, the original idea of having residential functions together with office spaces and production together in one band-like city, for the time being, we are talking about a technology park which was replacing this original idea, but still the concept is very clear and still visible. Here you see a detail rendering of the terminal, this hexagon with solar panels on the roof. We want to show the change of ideas in such a way that we replace parking lots by a real green park in the center of this terminal, and on the other side you see this solar plant with the windmills supporting the terminal building. In the center of our new building, we have an assembly hall where you can hold conferences and where you can gather all these companies working and researching in this building. And we want to create a circular tour through the world of green industry for delegations from all over the world. The concept is about having 1, 2, 3 zones, one exhibition zone, one main functional zone here, a gallery which is also running around the building, and a circulation area which is open to the park. If in case that you know the building, you will clearly understand this very clear structure of the building. And why am I talking so much about the building? Because I think the most sustainable way of thinking about buildings is to make buildings, to keep buildings still in use, not to demolish them and produce a lot of waste, but just keep the buildings and think about a new function in such big buildings like the terminal building in Tegel. We want to make advertisement. We want to show the ideas. From this summer on, we created the idea of a pavilion in the center of Tegel. This is this one here in the center, where we want to display the ideas and the future of the airfield of Tegel from this summer on. This idea will be realized on in the beginning of July. This is an image of this info pavilion, which will first serve as an info pavilion for the new airport in Schönefeld, and then secondly for the future development of the sustainable city in Tegel. Just a section through this pavilion with a big model of the newly used terminal building and an exhibition of our ideas. And then later on, this building structure could be used as an assembly hall with 800 people, and which is a very modern building. It still keeps this hexagon form, but it uses solar panels It uses big glass facades, but tilted so that the heat income is reduced to a minimum. We gather the water from the roof to run the restrooms and all these kind of things. So this would be the first step. And then we developed 4 scenarios together with Jan Hess. He's not only organizer, you could also tell our ideas about our ideas. The first scenario, how to use the building, is a green headquarter. That means that we would have working spaces on the air side, a working gallery which is running through the whole building, and then a circulation area with meeting areas on the land side. If you know the building, you will clearly understand that we open up the check-in parts, the check-in counters, and we create a connection, a link between the air side and the land side. And these spaces are nowadays used for baggage claims, and they will be in future used for working spaces and research spaces. All in all, we have 9,300 square meters just for working spaces, and these little orange dots you see here are these meeting points. This is the gallery. The second idea was to create an event space and an exhibition space out of Tegel, where we could hold such conferences in future. This would be the exhibition area for future technologies. This would be the meeting area, and this would be the circulation area. And we could hold trade fairs for solar and other technologies and other technologies. The third idea is to create a center for startup companies in the field of new and innovative technologies. Again, we would use the air side for research areas, offices, meeting areas, and then the other side for circulation. And the third idea is now coming up to a very realistic scenario. The University of Applied Sciences in Wedding in Berlin is very much interested in using this building in the future for their university. And we made a very detailed analysis how we could reach it. And the great idea of this scenario would be that the building would be still in a public use. Students would be there, scientists would be there, and it would be a place where technology or where a technology center could be incubated in the middle, in the center of Tegel. We could keep this idea of the center pavilion as the auditorium maximum in this university, and we could use these administration buildings for startup companies. It would be not far away from the main location of this Beuth Hochschule, the University of Applied Sciences, and also the Technical University of Tegel would be just 10 minutes away from the airport. Just some pictures. We could imagine that we have labs and also auditoria or lecture halls. In this part, we would have a learning and reading gallery over here, and again, we would have the circulation area there. This would be an auditorium within the hexagon structure of the Tegel airport. This is a very concrete scenario, and I think this could be something which could enhance the development of Tegel in future. This would be this gallery, which is looking down to the lecture halls. And this is the end of my speech, just to give you an idea how we could use buildings in future, how we could develop an idea that also older buildings are supported by solar energy and wind energy. And just for the end of my speech, I would show you some pictures of the Eco-city in China, which we are developing right now. This is the Eco-city in Qingdao. I was supposed to be in Qingdao today, but I prefer to stay here, and I will do this presentation later on. These are 3 dense clusters of urban clusters, and we want to take up these principles of zero energy, zero energy by gas and oil, zero carbon emission, and complete recyclable materials also in this city. So you see that the idea or the concept of eco-cities is going on all over the world. Thank you very much. For you.
So we have a couple of minutes for questions. Do you have any question?
Why you want to take the first scenario, show window for all over the world, and they are landing wide below the city, Brandenburg International, and they are not coming without a helicopter there.
So first question about politics. This is the main reason I am here, because I want to make this idea more popular. You know about the budget situation in Berlin, and that is the main problem, as we both know, that we still have to work a lot to make this project going on. We talked to Mr. Wowereit. He didn't appear as a dictator, but he told us we have to find investors, we have to find companies who are interested in this concept, and that's why I think this is the right place to present this project to you. The second question with the helicopters is a technical question, and let's say easy to explain. You should have a permission to land and start airplanes or helicopters. Once the new airport is in operation in Schönefeld, you will never have the possibility to land with airplanes or helicopters in this place. But maybe this is a future idea which we can discuss later on when the idea is already going on.
Okay, Franz.
In which way can you store the renewable energy in this Tegel project?
Yeah, this is a good question, and we have a concept and it's the same what you are doing in your small garage. The same. You had this picture where you combine the garage of a car or carport with the solar panels. We want to buffer the energy in the batteries of the cars, because in Tegel we have a huge car park underneath the building, and we want to use that. So the energy we gain from the solar plant and from the roof plants, we want to buffer it over there.
Will you use geothermal?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a certain percentage of geothermal energy, yes.
Wolfgang Kessling, Transolar. In Tegel, we have seen that you have a lot of photovoltaic on the roof, horizontally to make best benefit of the area you have. You showed also an image from the Eco-city in China. It's a dense development. What is making that to an eco development? How you do it there?
when we talked about the concept of an eco-city, we found that we should also talk about the question of density or non-density. And if you have a dense structure, you will see that you have a very efficient system, of course, of transportation, because you can just go by foot if you do not have a dispersed city. If you have a dispersed city like our cities, you always have to take the car or some other thing. So one result of our research was if you create an eco-city and the land is very valuable, like it is in China actually, you have to create dense structures. You minimize also the ways for technical installation, like telecommunication and all these kind of things. And then the second question is, of course, you have not enough space for big solar plant areas, but you can install solar plants also on the facades. And we developed some concepts in recent projects in China as well as in Europe, how to use the facade as the most important surface for solar plants, one. And the second, if you install the solar panels in a right way, you can also reduce the heat income into the buildings, which is the most difficult problem in China, because you have lots of sun over there, especially in the south.
Well, particularly if you have a university campus, you'll have a lot of students needing to get there as well. Is that a missing piece of the design?
No, it's part of the design. What I presented to you today is just the part how to use the terminal building. But before we had research and a study about how to create a sustainable city. And of course, this was one of the main questions, how to make the transport system. So the idea is to use this big car park, which is already there, as I told to Franz Alt. And this car park is the buffer by the batteries of the cars. It's the buffer for solar energy. And then we have e-buses as well as bicycles for the inhabitants of this city to reach their houses, offices, and other working places.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Stephan,
And the
for
book.
sharing the TXL Plus vision. Here's your speaker gift and a final round of applause again for Stephan. Thank you.